Hello everyone, Patrick Day's third video. We're going to have a look at weather next week to 10 days for today's third video. It's going to take us into the first week of June, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, which run to around a couple of weeks. Now, it's been a busy day of updates so far today, so we started off having a final look at the late spring bank holiday weekend with release JMA Friday. That's the month ahead look at. And this evening, we're going to have the ENSO update for May. We're going to see what's happening in the equatorial Pacific Ocean in terms of El Nino and that kind of thing. That'll be the fourth and final video up later on this afternoon into this evening. But week to 10-day video update next. We're going to start off with the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. Looking at London today, so we're starting off quite warm at the moment, and going to get warmer into the early part of the weekend. Then temperatures are going to slide through the second half of the weekend and into next week, going through quite a coolish phase actually through the closing days of May and into the beginning of June. Now, as we go through the first week of June and into the second week of June, we do see signs that the ensemble upper air temperatures are beginning to lift up. So we might start to get a bit of a warming trend going as we get later into the first week of June, possibly lasting into the second week of June. There is a lot of scatter in there. You can see the white line, which is the ensemble mean. Maddie's lifting up a little bit. Have got some very warm members appearing, going up to 15 Celsius at 850 HPA. They are quite hot ensemble members, but conversely, there are some cooler ones that are down here. So a little bit of a split, as you'd expect in the extended range. But there's a bit of a trend. There has been for some time for this first week of June to deliver some warmer conditions after a relatively cool end to May and beginning to June. Precipitation wise, we're looking like this. So quite a bit of precipitation coming up really until the end of the month. That's 1st of June. Just there, of course. Regular precipitation spikes, really, rather than anything too dramatic. So just regular sort of showery bursts of rain, I suppose. Particularly through the course of next week. But even over bank holiday weekend, there will be some showery bursts around. Through the first week of June, a little bit of a drying trend, I think. But even then, still a few precipitation spikes to be seen. So quite unsettled for the rest of May now. And then into the early part of June, perhaps a bit drier and a little bit warmer. Temperature anomalies going from the 24th of May to the 1st of June, a bit below average, so a little bit on the cooler than average side for the UK and Ireland. In fact, much of Western Europe is looking cooler than average with a temperature anomaly in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies average to a little bit above average. So it looks rather cool and unsettled, as I say, for this final week of May. It does look rather unsettled, cool and quite changeable. That's how the GFS operational run is looking for bank holiday Monday then. So we've got low pressure out to the northwest, quite cool and showery conditions lasting into the early part of next week. Have a go at building up a little bit of a ridge through the middle part of next week, but that doesn't really come off, and the next low pressure is rattling through Thursday next week. That's bringing more general outbreaks of rain. Then back to these cool northerly winds again on Friday, next Friday, 31st of May, last day of the month. Then the high pressure just kind of builds over the country as we move up towards day 10, or has a go at doing it anyway. So as we go into the early days of June, this is day 10, Monday the 3rd of June, we are looking a little bit drier and warmer there. We've built up a ridge down to the southwest, so that's looking rather drier and warmer, I have to say, on the 3rd of June. Beyond that, we go into the extended range with this GFS run, and low pressure again starts to slide through the country. So not long before we go back to cooler and more unsettled conditions once again. And in the very extended range, looks like it's turning really unsettled actually. This is Friday the 7th of June. We've got blocking high pressure to our north. This low pressure is sinking through the country. That probably brings with it a risk of some really quite wet weather indeed. That low pressure sort of stuck over the country as we get to the end of the GFS run, which is Sunday the 9th of June. So any sort of warmer, drier trend through the first week of June looks quite temporary actually, and it's not long at all before that's replaced back again by unsettled conditions. GFS parallel run looks like that. So again, rather showery and quite cool for Bank Holiday Monday. These cool showery conditions continue into the middle of next week. Second half next week brings more low pressure in from the Atlantic. So further showers, if not longer spells of rain lasting up to the end of the month. That's Friday 31st of May, the last day of May. Again, looking rather showery and quite cool with low pressure to the north of Scotland, bringing in these northwesterly winds. So it's showery, it's cool up to the end of May. Heading up towards day 10, so eventually this ridge of high pressure begins to move in across the country as we get into the opening days of June. That is day 10, Monday the 3rd of June. A ridge of high pressure then is building close to the country, settling things down. Probably still quite cool. I would expect night particular to be quite cool, and even by day probably no better than around average. But it is a drier, warmer trend there in the opening days of June. And this particular GFS run then turns a high pressure into a major feature. So unlike the GFS operational run, which very quickly brings unsettled conditions back through the first week of June, the parallel GFS actually turns this high pressure into a major feature in the extended range, bringing much warmer and drier conditions, at least for a time, through this first week of June. That's how we finish up on Sunday the 9th of June. As far as we can go for parallel GFS is high pressure starting to become a bit of a northern blocking feature then, beginning to stretch out again from sort of Norway to Greenland. Low pressure beginning to develop underneath it, so possibly turning a bit cooler and more unsettled there right at the very end. But I think that does imply a rather warmer, drier spell through the first week of June with the parallel GFS compared to the operational. This is how the ECM is looking. Again, rather showery and quite cool conditions on Bank Holiday Monday. And we keep these cool and unsettled conditions going through next week, really. Low pressure never too far away, bringing further showers, if not longer spells of rain, particularly to the northwest, but not exclusively so. Up to day 10, which is Monday the 3rd of June, that's how we're looking. Still rather unsettled, actually. Very little sign that we're building a proper area of high pressure. Southern parts of the country could be a bit drier and warmer, but certainly to the north and west, that does look quite cool and showery, I think, as we get into the opening days of June. So there's a lot of questions to answer, really, for this first week of June. Still quite a lot of uncertainty. The hints are there for something a lot drier and warmer, but it does all look rather sketchy, I have to say. It does all look rather inconclusive. This is how the GFS ensembles are looking today from the Icelandic Met Office. These are the options that we've got on the table at day 10, which is the 3rd of June, 240 hours away. We have 51 members of the ECM ensembles that have below average heights at day 10 to the north and west of us, with a bit of a ridge trying to build to the south and a high pressure area up towards Greenland. So most of these ensemble members are still quite unsettled at day 10, particularly for northwestern parts of the country. It's 100% of ensemble members as well, remember, so it is quite well supported, this solution, at day 10. Quite unsettled up to the north and west, but this high pressure in the south could bring something a little bit drier and warmer, or a hint at something a little bit drier and warmer for the south. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got on the table. This is for the 8th of June. It's 360 hours away, and increasing trend towards high pressure, perhaps. Above average heights there appear to be building through the country from the west, from the Atlantic, and through the UK and going into Europe. That will push the jet stream off up here, and that would certainly set us up for a drier and warmer spell as we get through to sort of 2 weeks away. That remembers taking us to the 8th of June. And it's well supported. There's 51 members of the ECM ensembles that are going for that, including the control run. So rather unsettled perhaps for a time through the first week of June, but the trend with the ECM ensembles appears to be towards high pressure, perhaps in line with what the GFS parallel run is showing. Finally, this is what the CFS V2 is conjuring up for June in terms of its 700 millibar height anomaly forecast for June 2019. So it's going for above average heights today in the North Atlantic and going up towards Green, so a bit of a blocking signal there. Also some above average heights across eastern parts of Europe, below average heights to our south, and just very weak pressure really over the UK and through central parts of Europe. So we're between two areas of high pressure, one across Eastern Europe, one in the North Atlantic. Possibly it will be a little bit more unsettled than you might think from the height anomaly. Temperature anomalies for June with a CFS-V2 quite close to average, so perhaps tone down that signal for a significantly warmer than average month. Precipitation anomalies also look quite close to average in what is a very complicated month, I have to say. But maybe just seems to being a little bit on the cooler and more unsettled side for June now, I think, with CFS-V2. And that was a little bit apparent with JMA Friday today as well, which of course only goes up to the third week of June at the moment. But I think the hints are there, maybe with the CFS, and it's wobbled a little bit on that warm and settled anticyclonic June signal that it had a few days ago, a week or two ago. It's possibly gone to something a little bit cooler and more unsettled for June now. But we shall see. That's all very experimental. We still have questions to answer for the first week of June. So for the rest of May, it looks cool and showery, I have to say. The final week of May looks like it'll be quite cool and unsettled. Then we go off into the first week of June. There is a lot of uncertainty about that. We might turn things drier and warmer, but it does look very, very inconclusive, I think, today, about how quickly any ridge builds in, and if a ridge does build in through the first week of June, how long it lasts. So these questions will be sorted out in the next few days within the model output, of course, and we'll keep you posted. Right, that's it for today's third video. Don't forget to check out JMA Friday if you haven't yet done so, and also the final update Bank Holiday weekend. Tonight or this evening, we're going to have the ENSO update for May. That's going to bring you up to date on all of the developments in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Big weekend of updates coming up. You never stop at GasLobbies. So tomorrow we've got weekend broadcast, week to 10-day video update tomorrow as well. We're going to begin though with the third and final seasonal model roundup for the summer of 2019, getting all of the long range models together for the final time this season, see what they're all showing for the summer. Sunday we'll release the GasLobbies.com summer 2019 forecast. That's going to be a pretty interesting watch, I would have thought. And also GasLobbies Sunday Roundup. There'll be a little sneak peek for the autumn as well on Sunday. And then Bank Holiday Monday, we're looking at 2012. We're primarily focusing on the summer of 2012, but it will encompass everything from kind of like the winter of 2011, 2012, up to the beginning of the autumn of 2012. So it's going to be a bit of an epic, and that's going to be your Bank Holiday Monday historic video. Right, that's all for now though, and thanks for watching.